I think that there are a lot of people who believe that they are leading. But when we step back and we take a look at what's actually happening, they are constantly responding to technology and emails and new priorities, and they are following the hype wherever it may take them. But right now, in this current moment, we need digital leaders more than we have ever needed them before. And as a leader, there is a huge opportunity in front of you to embrace the concept of digital leadership and lead differently in a way that drives outcomes. So, what is digital leadership and what does it look like in practice?
If you liked today's video, be sure to like it, smash that subscribe button so you don't miss future content. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. We personally respond to them and we love talking to you.
Digital leadership is the ability to lead and build authority and drive growth in a world full of technology. The most important part about digital leadership is it isn't about the tools. It isn't about more technology or bringing in AI into your organization. Being a strong digital leader means having the ability to inspire your team through clarity. It means the ability to build a brand and authority that resonates with trust from your customers, and the ability to do it all with authenticity and your humanity at the center of it. Digital leadership really has three key components: clarity, authority, and growth. Clarity is the foundation of digital leadership, and oftentimes I think is maybe the most underrated component of all. In a world that is so busy and chock full of new things that are constantly trying to catch our attention, the teams that get stuff done are the ones who understand their priorities, are using technology meaningfully, and probably most importantly, deeply understand the why behind the actions that they are taking. And what we see more frequently in practice is that teams are lacking that clarity. And because they don't have that clarity, they try to fill the void with more activity. But the problem is when we try to fill that with more meetings, more content, more of everything, we get exhausted and burnt out, but we don't make any progress. So the key differentiator of a digital leader when it comes to this component of clarity is that they get really good at communicating the why behind decisions. They get really good at answering the questions that their team might be afraid to ask. It's things like, what is most important for us right now?
These are our top priorities.
Clearly identifying what does success actually look like? And just as key to the idea of clarity as talking about what's most important in this current moment is how do we decide what we're not going to do and what doesn't fit into our strategy and our priorities? When leaders are able to communicate this level of clarity to their team, what it does is it takes away that empty activity where they're just trying to do something to feel like they are driving towards a goal. And it allows them to also free up your time from decision making that might have ended up on your shoulders when they didn't feel like they had strong guidance in what direction they needed to go. The second piece is authority. And this really comes down to how, as a leader, you are showing up externally in a way that builds trust with your prospects and your customers. And the best digital leaders do it with the heart of an educator because they understand that trust is built when you help people solve problems before there's ever an exchange of money. Digital leaders build authority by explaining concepts that they see their customers and prospects getting tripped up on, by creating content that helps a customer think differently about a problem that they might have in front of them, by showing up online and on stages and in avenues where they can meet their customer where they are, to really focus in on helping define ideas that they see their customers getting tripped up on a regular basis. By not only helping their customers figure out how to solve their problems, but presenting a different way for them to think about them, by giving people tools and frameworks that they can use to start making progress towards solving the pain point that they already have. So it's a natural next step for them to reach out to you and want to work with you and your company. But going back to the idea of clarity, this content and this step out into the larger marketplace isn't just done with volume in mind. You're not creating content just to create content. You're doing it in a way that allows you to take that clarity that you have internally within the company, understanding exactly who you serve, what problems you're helping them solve, and then being a guide to help them solve those problems. Digital leaders choose a very clear point of view that they want to be known for in the marketplace, and they stick to it and they stay consistent with it so that their buyers understand that this person not only knows what they're talking about, but gets small, trust building signals that you are going to be there when they need you most.
Can I count on you, lad?
And the third component of digital leadership is this idea of growth. And what this really equates to is that digital leaders are people who aren't afraid to show up, continue learning, and experiment in public so that they can figure out what feels right and authentic to them and their team. I know I talked about earlier how we don't want to chase shiny objects, but being a digital leader means using technology with intention. And in order to be able to do that, we have to be open minded. We have to be constantly learning about these new things that are coming into our sphere of influence. And we need to be experimenting with new tools and technology in a meaningful way so that we can bring them into our process and our companies. Growth looks a little different depending on which direction we are pointed in. But it could be something like not just talking about best practices or a new strategy, but actually implementing it on your team and measuring the results. It could be things like sharing openly and honestly with your team and maybe externally about mistakes that you've made or missteps that you took and what you learned from them. Growth requires humanity. And this is where you show up as a human in a world full of technology, which sometimes can be kind of difficult. It means admitting that you're still learning, but that willingness to show up as a human and try new things and put yourself in uncomfortable positions, that's what builds trust internally with your team and externally in the marketplace. Leaders who commit to growing and learning and experimenting create teams that are open and willing to do the same. And that is how we meaningfully bring technology into a company. That is how we create the magic that can come from humans and technology working together. Digital leadership isn't about the tools and the technology. It's about how we show up and lead people with clarity and build trust and show up authentically as ourselves. Digital leadership isn't a tactic or a framework. It's a mindset that's rooted in clarity, authority, and growth. And when we embrace this approach, digital strategies become easier to implement. Our teams view us as more human, and you're able to deliver on a strategy far more effectively. If you have questions about what this looks like in practice, drop them down below. And if you're interested in the concept of digital leadership and how to dive into these areas of clarity, authority, and growth, be sure to give us a follow.